saddle. I'm getting weary, unable to ride. But my love for Felina is strong, and I rise where I've fallen. Though I am weary, I can't stop to rest. I see the white puff of smoke from the rifle. I feel the bullet go deep in my chest. From out of nowhere has found me, kissing my cheek as she kneels by my side. Cradled by two loving arms that I'll die for. One little kiss and Felina, goodbye.
I hear people talking bad about the way we have to live here in this country. Harping on the wars we fight and griping about the way things ought to be. And I don't mind them switching sides and standing up for things they believe in. When they're running down my country, man, they're walking on the fighting side of me. Yeah, walking on the fighting side of me. Running down the way of life, I'm fighting and fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song I'm singing be a warning. You running down my country, man, you walking on the fighting side of me. I read about some squirrely guy who claims he just don't believe in fight. And I wonder just how long the rest of us can count on being free. They love our milk and honey, but they preach about some other way of living. When they're running down my country horse, they're walking on the fighting side of me. Yeah, walking on the fighting side of me. Running down the way of life, I'm fighting and fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song I'm singing be a warning. When you running down my country, man, you walking on the fighting side of me. Yeah, walking on the fighting side of me. Running down the way of life, I'm fighting and fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song I'm singing be a warning. When you running down my country, man, you walking on the fighting side of me.
It's now or never. Come hold me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never. My love won't wait. When I first saw you, with your smile so tender, my heart was captured, my soul surrendered. I spent a lifetime waiting for the right time. Now that you're near, the time is here at last. Kiss me, my darling, be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never, my love won't wait. Just like a willow, we would cry an ocean if we lost true love and sweet devotion. Your lips excite me, let your arms invite me, for who knows when we'll meet again this way. It's now or never, come hold me tight, kiss me, my darling, be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never, my love won't wait. It's now or never, my love won't wait. It's now or never, my love won't wait. It's now or never, my love won't wait.
Well, way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than a hoochie coochie. We laid rubber on the Georgia asphalt. We got a little crazy, but we never got caught. Down by the river on a Friday night, pyramid of cans in the pale moonlight. Talking about cars and dreaming about women. Never had a plan, just a living for the minute. Yeah, way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, never knew how much that muddy water meant to me. But I learned how to swim and I learned who I was. A lot about living and a little about love. Well, we fogged up the windows in my old Chevy. I was willing, but she wasn't ready. So I settled for a burger and a grape snow cone. I dropped her off early, but I didn't go home. Down by the river on a Friday night, a pyramid of cans in the pale moonlight. Talking about cars and dreaming about women. Never had a plan, just a living for the minute. Yeah, way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, never knew how much that muddy water meant to me. But I learned how to swim and I learned who I was. A lot about living and a little about love. Yeah. Yeah, way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, never knew how much that muddy water meant to me. But I learned how to swim and I learned who I was. A lot about living and a little about love. A lot about living and a little about love.
And I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna
is a burning thing, and it makes a fire
desire. I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. The taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
Amarillo by morning, up from San Antone. Everything that I got is just what I've got on. When that sun is high in that Texas sky, I'll be bucking at the county fair. Amarillo by morning, Amarillo, I'll be there. They took my saddle in Houston, broke my leg in Santa Fe. Lost my wife and a girlfriend somewhere along the way. But I'll be looking for 8 when they pull that gate, and I hope that judge ain't blind. Amarillo by morning, Amarillo's on my mind. Amarillo by morning, up from San Antone. Everything that I got is just what I've got on. That's why I hang my hat in Tennessee. I remember that old free old river where I learned to swim, but it brings to mind another time where I wore my welcome thin. By transcendental meditation, I go there each night, but I always come back to myself long before daylight. All my exes live in Texas, and Texas is a place I really love to be. But all my exes live in Texas, therefore I reside in Tennessee. Some folks think I'm hiding. It's been rumored that I died, but I'm alive and well in Tennessee.
Please don't stop the music. 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 It's getting late. I'm making my way over to my favorite place. I gotta get my body moving, shake the stress away. I wasn't looking for nobody when you look my way. Possible candidate, yeah. Who knew that you'd be up in here looking like you do? You make us staying over here impossible. Baby, I'ma say your aura is incredible. If you don't have to go, don't. Do you know what you started? I just came here to party, but now we're rocking on the dance floor, acting naughty. Your hands around my waist, just let the music play. We're hand in hand, just to trust, and now we're face to face. I wanna take you away, let's escape into the music. DJ, let it play. I just can't refuse it, like the way you do. Just keep on rocking to it. Please don't stop the music. I wanna take you away, let's escape into the music. DJ, let it play. I just can't refuse it, like the way you do this. Keep on rocking to it. Please don't stop the music. Baby, are you ready? 'Cause it's getting close. Don't you feel the passion ready to explode? What goes on between us, no one has to know. This is a private show. Do you know what you started? I just came here to party, but now we're rocking on the dance floor, acting naughty. Your hands around my waist, just let the music play. We're hand in hand, just to trust, and now we're face to face. I wanna take you away, let's escape into the music. DJ, let it play. I just can't refuse it, like the way you do. Just keep on rocking to it. Please don't stop the music. I wanna take you
to the midnight sun. Wheels go round and round on my mind. Restless hearts sleep alone tonight, sending all my love along the wire. They say that the road ain't no place to start a family. Right down the line, it's been you and me. And love and the music, man, ain't always what it's supposed to be. Oh, girl, you stand by me. I'm forever yours, faithfully. Circus life under the big top world. We all need the clowns to make us smile. Through space and time, always another show. Wondering where I am, lost without you. And being apart ain't easy on this love affair. Two strangers learn to fall in love again. I get the joy of rediscovering you. Oh, girl, you stand by me. I'm forever yours, faithfully.
got 7 women on my mind. 4 that wanna own me, 2 that wanna stone me, 1 says she's a friend of mine. Take it easy, take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Lighten up while you still can. Don't even try to understand. Just find a place to make your stand. Take it easy. Well, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, and such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slowing down to take a look at me. Come on, baby, don't say maybe. I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna save me. We may lose and we may win, but we will never be here again. So open up, I'm climbing in. So take it easy.
Rest don't like him, but it sure does get my business. He stands up for what he believes. So don't come down here trying to change things. We're doing all right in the Sunshine State. Stay out of our business, leave our gov alone. Down in sweet Florida, our governor is red, white, and blue. Oh, down in sweet Florida, he's shooting us straight, telling us the truth. Yeah, that's right. You can take it to the bank. He don't care what Brandon thinks at the White House. Yeah, he's fighting for the right to keep our state free. Free. Well, he's taking on the swamp and he's calling out Dr. Fauci. Fauci. He's the only one fighting for you and me. You and me. Yeah, we're free. Yeah, we're free. Down in sweet Florida, our governor, he's red, white, and blue. Oh, down in sweet Florida, he's shooting us straight, telling us the truth. Well, we ain't been locked down, we still have our freedom.
We can still see our friends and family.
Oh, our kids are in school and we can go to church on Sunday. And it's all because DeSantis knows how to lead. Down in sweet
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Florida FOP President Steve Zona.
Good afternoon. Everybody as excited as we are to welcome the governor here today. So on behalf of the almost 25,000 members we represent in the state of Florida and President Randy Reeves, the local president, we just wanted to welcome everybody here today. I can tell you I've been in law enforcement for 29 years. 9 of those years I spent in FOP leadership. I've traveled the country. I've spoken to my peers all around the country. And if they don't have a governor who is a law and order governor and supports police officers, they're suffering. Their communities are suffering. We see it on TV every single day. They're fleeing the profession. And we don't have that problem here in Florida, do we? No, we have the exact opposite. Those police officers are coming to Florida to work, and those families are coming to Florida to live. And look, it's easy to stand with police officers when times are good. It's hard when times are bad. We saw that. Governor DeSantis never wavered. He was with us all the time, and we're truly appreciative for that. You know, the last thing I'll say is, you know, we have a governor who doesn't depend on polls to determine where his positions are. He doesn't care about the political wins. He does what's right for the right reasons, and we truly appreciate that, because what that means is that means if people, the woke mob, wants to get to law enforcement in Florida, they have to go through him to get to us, and that's not going to happen. So we're thankful for that. So I want to introduce our next speaker, Captain Dan, he likes to be called, retired United States Navy and a former shipmate of the governor.
Thank you, Steve, and all the members of your association for what you do, providing us a safety every day, and we are grateful. Please join me in thanking Steve and his team again. All right, it's a great day to be in Jacksonville, and let's start it out the right way by pledging allegiance to our great nation. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, Thank you. Thank you all for being here today, taking time out of your busy schedule. And I'm truly grateful that I get the honor of getting to introduce our honored guest here today. We all just took the Pledge of Allegiance, something that all of us have done thousands of times in our life. And in doing so, we pledge allegiance to our republic. And I don't know of anybody, any American in the last 3 years that has done more to preserve our republic than our honored guest here today. So he has repeatedly displayed the courage to be free, and I am grateful for that. Sometimes I think about what my life would have been like the last 3 years, what my wife's life would have been like, what my children's life would have been like, what my business would have been like, but for this man who has the courage to be free and the convictions to be free. And I'm truly grateful to this man. And so for each of you that are here today, you get the opportunity to thank him for what he has done for us for the past 3 years and what he will do for us in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, our country's greatest governor, Ron DeSantis.
Hello, Jacksonville. Great to be back. Thanks, Steve, for hosting us. Thank you, Dan, for the introduction, and thank you all for coming. It's always good when this is #1 in America right now on Amazon. So hopefully you guys buy a copy and tell other folks to go to DeSantisBook.com and do it. So it's interesting. So I just came from a book signing at Books A Million over there in the Marsh Landing area. And basically they do like 250 slots, people sign up. Some of you actually saw, some of you there. Many people couldn't get a slot, so it was just the 250 that would do I sign. And the number of people that would come up to me, have me sign the book and say, I moved from Illinois because of you, or I moved from Maryland because of you, there you go, or New York because of you. And, honestly, it's not really because of me, it's really because of us and the way Floridians responded over the last few years. And we, I think, we've got mojo about being a free state. And we're going to be willing to buck elites, whether it's people like Fauci or whoever we need to do to keep our way of life. And so people have responded to it, and they've been coming in record numbers. I mean, honestly, it's a compliment that people want to beat a path to your state. It's also challenging because, it's, the traffic and all that other stuff. So we're working on that and gonna work. But clearly, people have had opportunities to vote with their feet, and they voted for Florida, which is great. Now, we've had to, part of it was, being free state, but part of it is I think people saw Florida standing up for what was right when many other people wouldn't. I mean, for example, we're standing up for parents' rights and education with respect to our children. And we even had to tussle with a company that some of you may have heard of for a time or two. It's got a little bit of a footprint in Central Florida. And people will, talk about and I talk about the whole thing with Disney in the book, but, we're in a situation where some of the things that are going on in schools across this country, no one would have even thought possible even 5 or 10 years ago, okay? As a parent, you send a child to school and you think you're going to first grade or second grade, they're going to be writing and reading and all this stuff. You don't expect there to be some teacher telling them that they were born in the wrong body or that they can change their gender. That is inappropriate. And so when you see this stuff in Florida, even though that's view is popular with some in the media and some in the people that have a lot of power in our culture, it's not the right policy for parents and for Floridians. And so we're happy to fight on behalf of parents. We're happy to dig in and do that, and we're happy to do the right thing. But these companies, I think for a long time, they get involved in different things that have nothing to do with their business, which, I mean, do they have a First Amendment right to it? Yes. Is that consistent with the CEO's fiduciary duty to the shareholders? Probably not. You probably don't want to get in that thicket, but nevertheless, they've done. But the issue has always been, the woke mob comes after them, and so they genuflect to the mob. And the reason is because they figure like no one on the right is ever going to do anything. And so it's kind of been a one-way ratchet, and I think that there were a couple things over the last several years, but I think the Disney one was the biggest, where, we just said enough is enough, okay? We're not going to have our state governed by some woke company based in Burbank, California. We're going to do what's right. So we did the parents' rights, stood up for that, and were able to say with the Disney, we had a situation here because it wasn't just that they were trying to sabotage the bill, said that they were going to get it repealed, had executives bragging on video that their goal was to inject sexuality in the programming for the young kids. And so it raised the question with us, it's not just them doing that. They are doing that on the backs of Floridians because Florida, for many decades, has given them this incredible platform, incredible privileges that no other individual or business enjoys. In Florida, I don't think anywhere in the country. They were gifted their own government in the late 1960s. The company controlled the government. 44 square miles is bigger than Manhattan, bigger than the city of Miami. And this company was in control, exempt from laws that others had to follow, major tax breaks, and they are even racking up debt, municipal debt. And so this was a situation where you, as Floridians, because of that arrangement, were subsidizing their activism. And I don't want to subsidize a woke agenda. And so we had to make arrangements. And so we fought the fight last spring, and then just this Monday, finally put the finishing touches on, and I signed the bill officially and finally stripping Disney of self-governing status in the state of Florida. And the interesting thing, and I talk about it in the book, and a lot of people weren't talking about it at the time, and not that like we were saying, like my wife and I were saying anything, either way, it wasn't like it was a secret, but I just think a lot of people didn't realize, some of you may realize who knew Casey back in the day, that we actually got married at Disney. It was not my idea. I was down, my first full-time duty station in the Navy was Naval Station Mayport, place many of you guys know. Honestly, a great base. I mean, I've had the chance, like not necessarily permanent but I mean, how many Navy bases I visited in my career? A lot. Mayport's a great spot. And so I met her. She was working in Northeast Florida for Channel 4. Many of you saw her on that. And so we started dating, and then I don't know how long that went on, but then I got mobilized, so it went on. So we got, well, time flies when you're having fun, so come on. I just know that we were dating. It definitely was serious. I was serious. But I got sent to Coronado, California to be assigned to Navy SEAL Team 1, and then we deployed to Iraq. And so that was like a whole big thing that kind of it didn't throw a wrench because we were still, we were still dating, but in terms of any plans to go beyond the dating stage, I really had to get back from Iraq. I mean, that was what I was planning on doing. So I said when I got back that I would, that I'd pop the question, and I did. An easy decision for me to do that. And she, so she said yes. So with the wedding, it's her thing, right? I mean, I'm just like, do what you got to do. And so she's kind of, spitting around ideas, looking at different places, actually looking at a lot of places in Northeast Florida. And then she comes to me one day, and she raises this idea of Disney World. And I was like, they do weddings at Disney World? And she said, yeah, and I was like, where, in Cinderella's castle? How does this work? And basically she said, well, no, and it actually is very nice. They have like a wedding venue, chapel, all this stuff. You know, I'm fortunate, like my uncle's a priest, so I can wheel him anywhere and do an event everywhere. And so I knew I had that covered, but so we did that. And so she's talking to me about it, and I was like, look, and the reason why, I guess her family had been big into taking her to the parks and her sister to the parks when they were growing up, doing the programming, all this other stuff. And so it was kind of their suggestion, and so she said, okay. And so I was just like, look, that's totally fine. It's your day. I'm just along for the ride, but I am not having Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck anywhere near this wedding. It's got to look normal. And sure enough, I mean, they've put our wedding pictures on the internet. I've seen people pass them around, and you wouldn't know that it was anything other than just kind of a normal venue. So it was interesting, and it actually worked out fine. But I just, I'm thinking back here about, could we have in our wildest imaginations thought back in 2009 that when we're getting, tying the knot there, that 13, 14 years later, here I'd be in the ring tussling with the most powerful company in the history of the state of Florida. Who would have thought that? But that's just the way life works. And so it was a little bit of ironic that ended up happening. But I'll tell you this, we're fortunate to have a very good First Lady in the state of Florida. And as much as they tell me, people say, America's governor or whatever, she's definitely the top First Lady of all 50 states. I don't think there's any question. And we've got a lot of good ones, and so, when we got to Tallahassee in January of 2019, we only had 2 kids at the time. We had Madison and Mason. And so we did that, we moved in. And then so over the 4-year period, what happened? I mean, obviously there was a lot going on just with Florida. We had a pandemic that hit, which just caused a lot of, I was working very, very hard during that time, and really irregular hours sometimes. Had another child, Mamie, in March of 2020, actually during COVID, which was an interesting experience. And then she goes through breast cancer in 2021 and into 2022, working that, do the campaign, all that other stuff. And so it was a really kind of tumultuous 4 years. But what I point out to people, and this is not just me saying it because I have to say it as a husband, we did on our inauguration day 4 years ago, I sat at the desk in the governor's office in the state capitol. I had Madison on my lap, Casey standing next to me holding Mason. And so he was 9 months. So we took the photo, and that was like a photo that we had in our home and everything, and really liked it. So we wanted to recreate the photo for this inauguration this past January. So I'm sitting there. Madison is now 6 on my lap. Mamie, who wasn't even around 4 years ago, on my other lap. And then she's holding Mason there, who's now 4 years old. And then we put them together in like picture frames. And I kid you not, after having another kid, after going through all the stuff with the government, after dealing with cancer, she's prettier in 2023 than she was in 2019. So how do you do that? I don't know. I tell another story about just, because like when you're out there doing this, like people will see he's in front of the camera doing the press conference, doing this, signing a bill, doing all that, and of course that's the bread and butter. But we're parents too, juggling a lot of this stuff that many of you know all too well. And so one of the things we had to do was when Mason was born, it was March of 2018. So I'm running for governor. I'm in the U.S. Congress, and we didn't have any time to do almost anything. We're drinking from a fire hose. It's a big state to campaign in. And so we had the situation, we need to baptize this kid. When are we going to baptize? I mean, we had no ability to plan because, we wanted to invite people or whatever. And And so we decided, you know what, let's just get through the election. Get through the election and then breathe, and then we'll go. Well, we were fortunate enough to win the election, and so we said, you know, we're going to get inaugurated January of 2019 in Tallahassee. Friends and family are going to be there for that. Let's just do it then. And so what we ended up doing was doing the swearing in, you give the speech, whatever. They usually do like pomp and circumstances, a parade. I'm not one for pomp and circumstance, so I was happy to cancel the parade and go back. We went to the governor's residence to do the baptism for Mason right there. Now, what we were using for that is Casey and I went to Israel before we had children when I was in the Congress, and she got basically in a water bottle like this, she got water from the Sea of Galilee in Israel. And the purpose was to bring it back so that when we had children, we'd use it for the baptism. So it worked out great for Madison in 2017. We did it, had it, no problem. So we brought it with us. So we're doing it for Mason in the governor's residence, no problem. Well, you know, we were doing stuff. We do that. We got to get ready for whatever they did a ball that night. So the water's just kind of sitting there. Now maybe it's probably about half full, right? Well, we never had anyone clean up after us before, but they have staff who work and they do a great job. No one would have known that it was anything other than, no one would have known it was Sea of Galilee water. It just looked like water, right? Well, so we go to the inaugural ball, come back, I sleep. Next morning I wake up, I ask the First Lady, where is that Sea of Galilee water? She's like, I think we left it downstairs. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I go down, I look, and it was spick and span, nothing left behind, everything taken care of. So they threw the rest of the water out, and it just is what it is. So fast forward a couple weeks later, I was doing an event at a synagogue down in Boca Raton. I come out to do the press conference. You know, I got everyone with me, and before I said, I just want everybody to know, you know, we did baptize my son, Mason, with water from the Sea of Galilee after the inauguration, but the rest of the water was mistakenly thrown out, and so we don't necessarily have a bun in the oven now, but we don't have any more water. And so within 24 hours, there were people in Israel fishing in the Sea of Galilee. They sent me this big, beautiful glass jar with water in it. No one would throw that water away. And I had it on my desk in the Florida Capitol until Mamie came in March of 2020, and we were able to use Sea of Galilee water for her. So, you know, I think one of the themes, I mean, this is really, I mean, we're talking about, you know, important issues in this book. There's a lot of things that are going wrong that we're fighting against in this book, which is important. But I think there's, you know, it's really an optimistic book, just in the sense, well, a couple senses, but one of the senses is, you know, no one would have predicted that I would be even in a position to be able to write this or be governor. I mean, if you would look, you know, we basically just had to work hard and scrap, and I worked all kinds of odd jobs as a kid, going through school, all this other stuff. But then even as I graduated, you know, from college and all this stuff, and I'm in the Navy, I'm doing that, and we get out. You know, when we ran for Congress the first time, nobody really knew who I was. It was 7 candidates were running in the race in the Republican primary, and this is 2012. And she and I just decided, you know what? Yes, you got to build a campaign. You got to do financial contributions to be able to do advertising. You do got to do all that, and we did it. But the best thing we could do is just show up at people's house, knock on their door, and ask them for support. So we decided that we would go and we knocked on doors over like a 4-month period, thousands. So I had a Ford F-150 pickup truck. I bought her a scooter, a motorized scooter. I dumped the scooter in the bed of the truck. We drive to a neighborhood. I drop her off on one side of the neighborhood with literature and her scooter. She'd putz around and knock on the Republicans' doors. I'd go to the other side of the neighborhood. I'd do the same. We'd meet in the middle, and then we would go to the next neighborhood. And we did that really for a number of months, and we each knocked on definitely thousands of doors. Now, not everyone was home, so you leave them a little note and all this stuff. But I'll tell you, just think, you have these candidates. You don't know any of the candidates. How do you figure out who you like in a primary? Because everyone says they're the most conservative thing since sliced bread. They all say the same stuff. And so how do you do that? Well, if someone comes and knocks on your door and shakes your hand and asks for your vote, you're more likely to vote for that person than people that you've never met or never heard of before. So just from a campaign perspective, it was really good. But I mean, this is really as hard scrabble as it gets when you start talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. I remember like towards the end of the campaign, you know, I just dispatched her to DeLand down in Volusia County. And she became like the queen of DeLand with Republicans because she knocked on, I think, every Republican primary voter's door in DeLand. And we did that and all this other stuff. And so, but it shows you that, you know, it's just something that we worked at it. We put in the elbow grease. We weren't entitled to anything. We had to earn it. But people responded to that. And so we had a 7-way race, 7 candidates, and we won by 15 percentage points as a first-time candidate. That's not easy to do, and it just shows. But I'll tell you, what it also shows is, you know, these people run, and they think like polls can tell them what they need to stand for, what they need to do. First of all, a poll, getting from that is not the same thing as talking to people and to have them tell you in their own words what their concerns are. Because a poll is just, you just pick from choices. So it's not even really a good instrument. So we're going door to door, and, you know, people are inviting us in for coffee or just chatting or this or that. You know, not very many slammed the door in my face or her face. Some did, but not a lot. Most people were very excited to be able to talk to a candidate. But, you know, you would hear certain themes in different parts of the district. I could be in St. John's. I could be in Volusia. You know, it didn't matter. You would hear that. And, you know, a lot of the people were really frustrated because a lot of these Republicans, you know, they saw going to Washington were always promised big things. And it seemed like they just got sucked into the swamp and became part of the problem. And so, you know, that was something that stuck with me. And so when it came time for, well, first of all, they would ask me, hey, you seem like a nice young man. How do we know you aren't going to end up being part of the problem when you do? And what I said is, look, I understand people say there are pressures in Washington and influences in Washington, but listen, I'm one of the only people in this country that have gone through both Harvard and Yale and came out more conservative than when I went in. Not easy to do. So I think I'll be fine dealing with the swamp. But it really is. And so that kind of just talking to the folks and getting that feedback was so much better than what you could ever do with the poll. So when I was getting ready to go into governor, because I think part of the book is about what we accomplished, but it's also about how were we in a position to accomplish this to begin with. Because you think about it, I mean, we got elected by 32,000 votes in 2018. It's a lot better to win by 1.5 million votes than 32,000, but it's just, and so, and Florida had been, from the time for like the decade previous until I got elected, 1-point races, governor, president, you name it. That was just kind of the standard that we would have. And so here I came in, and we got a lot of advice to kind of, you know, trim your sails, you know, don't make waves, all this other stuff. And I just rejected that. I mean, my view is, you know, I may have won 50% of the vote, but I'm entitled to 100% of the executive power, and I'm going to use it. And I'm going to make sure we're advancing an agenda that's good for Florida, and that I'm making sure that I'm following through on the promises that I made to the people that elected me. So our view was that we were going to be bold. Now, we also had to understand that when you get in there, it's a constitutional system. There are checks and balances. There are different pressure points. Different executives have different authority based on state constitution, of course, the federal constitution for the federal executive, statutes. So we compiled all those authorities, and we made sure that we understood all the different ways that we could leverage that to be able to advance in the agenda. And that's really how you get something to stick. I mean, I could just, you know, been flailing around, you know, saying all this stuff, but if you're not actually strategic about how you advance it, you're not going to be as successful as you need to be. So we had that in mind, and we were definitely going to do it. We also said no polls. So I didn't do any polls as governor. I basically made the decision that, you know, you got to know what's in your heart. You got to know kind of what's in your head about what's best for the state. And if you're simply captive to polls, you're not a leader. You know, a leader goes out and puts out a vision, executes, delivers results, and then what happens? The polls will move towards you. You need to be leading and shaping public opinion, not being responsive or captive to public opinion. And so I think that that was really important, because if you were worried about the polls, there may have been things that I would not have done then if I was following polls, because some of the things we did were very unpopular when we did, like keeping the schools. It was very unpopular at the time. I was getting hammered. Now no one will admit that they opposed me on the schools, but that was the true during COVID, just the reality. So no polls on that. And we also recognize the importance of having people that share your vision working in the administration. You know, as governor, you can make decisions, you can set out policy. You're not personally executing any of this on the ground level. You got to have people that are going to carry that out and share the vision. And we did have a lot of people that did that. But basically the question is, you know, is your loyalty to the cause we're trying to pursue and the people of Florida, or is your loyalty to yourself and advancing yourself? And anybody that was doing the latter, that was not acceptable. And, you know, we've had really for the last 4 years, I don't think we've had one leak in the administration, no leaks on my campaign. You know, you have a lot of very mission-oriented people, but that's why you're able to be successful, because you just can't do it all yourself. So we were very, very concerned about that. And then finally, made the decision, I'm not just going to sit around like a potted plant and hope the good things happen. I'm going to be on offense. I'm going to be out there raising issues. I'm going to be leaning into issues. It turns out that the best way to guard against the attacks that always come from the usual suspects is that, yeah, the best defense sometimes is a good offense. And so that's what we did from day one, had a very torrid pace and really kept them on their toes. And of course, now the rest is history. So you look at, you know, success, clearly policy success across the board. I mean, we've delivered education, crime, very tough on crime state. We are a 50-year low in our crime rate. Is it any wonder? I mean, if we turned it over to the folks that want to let everybody out of prison, that wouldn't be happening. Very good on that. Economy's probably never been better than we have in the state of Florida. I mean, people want to invest here. They want to be here. I think we've got, our labor force is much bigger than it was, and jobs are more plentiful, but there's still demand, even with all the economic headwinds nationally. But, you know, you can look at all those statistics. At the end of the day, you just look how Americans have behaved over the last 3 or 4 years. And where are they doing? They are leaving states governed by leftist politicians. And they are coming to Florida as the #1 state when people are looking to have a better life. That is the definition of success from a policy perspective, the fact that people's behavior is showing that you're doing it right. And so we're proud of that. We're also proud of the fact that, and you know, I kind of mentioned in the book, it's like, you know, you do all this stuff, that's great, and I don't do it for politics because, you know, I told myself during COVID when I was the kind of the #1 guy they were going after because we were bucking Fauci and all this stuff, you know, I just said, let the chips fall where they may politically. I want to save these people's jobs and the kids' education, and if I lose mine, that's fine. I'm fine with that. But you don't know how some of this stuff's going to shake out. And so, you know, I think people appreciated. I kind of figured out that that I was going to be okay when probably 6 months into it, I'd have people just come up to me and give me like big hugs and start crying because we saved their jobs and businesses and everything. But nevertheless, at the time, it was what it was. Still, though, you need the validation. I mean, you need to see, is this something? Is this Florida blueprint something that other governors should be doing in other states? Well, you can have policy success. If you have political failure, that's politicians respond to that. They would not want to do that because I think most of them are going to be, you know, more interested in making sure they're going on a path to stay in office. And so when we did the campaign, you know, I wanted to really make a statement about the success that we've had. So we were able to win in 2022 the highest percentage of the vote that any Republican governor candidate has ever received in Florida history. We won the largest vote margin victory, 1.5 million votes, that any governor candidate has ever gotten, and it was almost twice as much as the previous record, which I think was about 790,000. We won 62 of 67 counties. Finally got Duval to go back red. Although that wasn't, that was kind of to be expected. I think a lot of people were looking as we got down the stretch about Miami-Dade. Could that possibly go for us? It had gone to Hillary Clinton not too long ago by 30 points, and so it was not necessarily viewed as good terrain for us, but I think what we did is we've converted a lot of people, and we were able to not just win Miami-Dade, but we won it by double digits. Can you believe that? That's unbelievable. And I knew kind of going down the stretch because, I've got guys that know, that kind of watch this stuff, but we really believed going into Election Day, we really expected not just to do Miami-Dade, but to be the first Republican in almost 40 years in a governor's race to win Palm Beach County. And we did it. We won it. So you cannot win by 1.5 million votes and win all those counties with just Republicans. We're fortunate we have more Republicans now than we did when I got in. We had never, when I got elected governor, the state had never had more Republicans registered than Democrats. Never. And we were, I think, 250, 300,000 in the hole when I got elected. We now have 420,000 more registered Republicans than Democrats. That is what you call a realignment. That is what you call changing the trajectory, the political trajectory of the state. But you can't do that, as great as that is, you can't get to those levels if you're only doing that. So, we won independent voters by 18 percentage points in the election. We won Latinos by over 60% in the election. And so those are really, but I think what it shows is people respond to leadership. They respond to common sense, which has been in short supply. They respond to the principles that we upheld, that really are the principles that made this country great. And they respond when you have the courage to stand for what's right, even when it's not easy, even when you're facing incoming, even when you have the whole world shooting at you. If you dig in and you stand strong for people, they see that, they notice it, and they respond to that, because people knew, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not just out here wasting my breath. I'm going to do it. And so people understood that we had their back, and people, once they know you're willing to fight for them in this business, they will walk over hot coals barefoot to support you. And that's what happened in our election. We had just such a big coalition to be able to do. So I think it's a great sign. I think it's very optimistic, because I talk about the problems in our country and other states and all this, and we've seen those. Obviously, you guys all know we have to deal with a lot of it in Florida, just coming down from D.C. with some of this stuff. But I think what the book shows is that it really can be done, because what we did in Florida was take kind of a polarized state that was always 50-50, and we turned it into the leading, we're definitely the leading Republican state in the country in terms of policy and everything. But name me another state that's doing as much as we are across these whole host of issues. I know some of the blue states are trying to keep up. Of course, they're going in the other direction on all this, but even they are not able to do. So it can be done. I think that there should be a lot of optimism about this state going forward. And I think that at the end of the day, I think what Florida's shown, there's a strong majority of Americans out there that understands some of this stuff has gone off the rails. We need a strong dose of common sense. We need to restore sanity to this country, and I think you're going to see that in state after state and throughout the United States. So if you haven't gotten this, I know many of you did, tell people to go to DeSantisBook.com. I can tell you there's a lot of people in D.C. and New York that do not like that this book is selling well. So not only are you getting to get something hopefully you enjoy reading, you can needle the media a little bit, needle the left. Why not? Thank you all. We appreciate you. God bless you. Thanks. Am I going this way?
Oh, down in sweet Florida, he's shooting us straight, telling us the truth. Yeah, that's right. You could take it to the bank, he don't care what Brandon thinks at the White House. Yeah, he's fighting for the right to keep our state free. Free. Well, he's taking on the swamp and he's calling out Dr. Fauci. Fauci. He's the only one fighting for you and me. You and me. Yeah, we're free. Yeah, we're free. Down in sweet Florida, our governor, he's red, white, and blue. Oh, down in sweet Florida, he's shooting us straight, telling us the truth. Well, we ain't been locked down, we still have our freedom. We can still see our friends and family. Oh, our kids are in school and we can go to church on Sunday. And it's all because DeSantis knows how to lead. Down in sweet Florida, our governor, he's red, white, and blue. Yeah, down in sweet Florida, he's shooting us straight, telling us the truth. Come on now. Down in sweet, sweet, sweet Florida, our governor, he's red, white, and blue.